We're going to attempt this. It is Wednesday, October 22nd. We're in my kitchen. Of course, where else would I be? I have more tomatoes and things to cut up for sauce. But I want to show you. Look at this. These are tomatoes that are still coming from my garden. Is this just not insane? And I have more green ones on the vine. And I'm kind of watching weather to see what it's going to do, if I need to pull the green ones off and put them in a bag or not. And I still have green tomatoes in bags waiting for them to get red. So, I mean, I don't know what I did this year for my harvest, but this Italian woman has a harvest, and we're making sauce again. I have a picnic that I'm going to on Saturday. Everybody is bringing something, and I'm bringing my famous pasta with my homemade sauce. How are you? What's new? What have you been doing? What was the highlight of the day? What has been the glimmer of the week? This is only Wednesday. I am Kitryn Marie. I reside in St. Louis, Missouri. I am an artist, writer, speaker, life and business coach, published author, teach a variety of art enrichment classes, personal development classes. But what have you been doing? And I know I should have my hair up, and this is one of those superficial things, but it is breaking off. It is just breaking off at the ends, and I feel like putting it up, it only makes it worse. It's getting a little longer. You know, for the girl that had short hair all of her life, the Dorothy Hamill phase, who else had short hair? Had the bi-level thing going on like Olivia Newton-John did, and Sheena Easton way back in the day. Always had shorter hair, and then I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let it go. It was always dark, and then I decided I wanted to be a blonde. When you have cat green eyes, I think it goes really well with blonde hair, which has nothing to do with me being in the kitchen and cooking. But, how was your day? What did you do? What was the best moment of the day? And what are you making for supper? Now, I'm going to try to talk as I am doing this, and I hope I don't get sidetracked too much, because I got a lot on my mind and I got a lot to do here. I think I'll be at the stove all night long. I will roast a bunch of stuff up because I went to my favorite produce place. Look at these eggplants. Are these just not the nicest looking eggplants? They're going in my sauce. I have a zucchini left over that I will put in my sauce. I have some fresh garlic. I have some mushrooms here, what's left, that I will cut up and put in. Might even try to roast some carrots today. I feel like winter is coming really fast. I feel like it's going to be approaching us quicker than we're really ready for. And I'm trying to get into that routine where I stay warm, because once I am cold, it will be days, weeks, months before I'm warm again. I'm still kind of looking up all that traditional Chinese medicine stuff, and when your inside of your body is warm, it kind of takes care of your health and your immune. And with roasting all of these vegetables and putting it in a sauce and putting it in a soup, I feel like I'm doing something that I'm supposed to do, a better, greater benefit for my health. I even have some peppers that I'm going to roast up too. So let me get you a little closer here if I can. If I can without knocking anything over. I got the dogs in the crate. They have been off the charts with the weather being cool. The field behind me, I guess they're putting in a levee. They brought in big rocks. You know, they're calling for a lot of rain here in St. Louis, Missouri over the next couple days, and that area back there is very prone to flooding, and I think they're trying to get the jump on it so it doesn't flood out. I'm maybe 200 yards from the creek that's back there, but at one point in time when it did flood, it was to the house next door. Didn't get me, but my basement always takes on water. So whatever they're doing out there, continue to do it. I don't need any more water in my basement because my homeowners doesn't want to cover any of it. And I just heard State Farm got into all kinds of trouble for trying to cancel people. So fingers crossed with this weather change. And with me having a picnic to go to on Saturday, let's hope that the rain kind of subsides on Saturday so we can enjoy the day. Bunch of us at my work, at my gig. But I want to ask you, I have a couple of things to ask you. What does your significant person do for a living? He, she, whether you're married, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, partner, whomever you call that love in your life. What do they do for a living? Are they entrepreneurs? Do they work for somebody? I don't know where I want to put this. I need a bigger kitchen. I need a bigger house. What do they do for a living? How do they make their money? And what is their mood when they come home? How tired are they? Because I know about now, it is 4:35. I'm about to hit the wall. And if I go sit in my chair or dare try to sit on the couch, I will be out for hours. Mine spent from the job that I am doing. I had my dishwasher on. I have steam coming out, and it's going to be hot, me standing here. But what does your significant person do for a living? Now, within that, I'm going to ask if you, this is business coaching before I lead into the life coaching, if your significant other has his, her own business, what are you doing to contribute to his, her business to help him, her be a success? I'm going to kick my shoes off. My feet all of a sudden are getting hot. What are you doing to help promote their business? And let's just say, I'm even going to take my socks off. Let's just say you're involved with me. God help you to begin with. But never a dull moment either. As a content creator, as somebody who typically has an audience in front of her, and I don't mean like a stage kind of audience, but because of my outside gig and the hundreds of people that I talk to basically during the week, if you're involved with somebody like me who has business sense, can you imagine the type of success that your significant other would have if you had the same business skills that I do? Imagine, I'm trying to think, what can I use? I'll use my person who's not my person anymore, but he was a plumber by trade, and I highly, highly always encouraged him to teach. He was brilliant. He was educated. He was smart. He was worldly. He was known by everybody in our community. And he was good at what he does. He's very knowledgeable in his craft. And I would encourage him always to teach because of his military training, him having a rank. He was used to having men under him, having them follow law, having them follow rule, so on and so forth, whatever structure and routine that goes on with being brainwashed in the military. Let's just call it like it is. But imagine if he would have gone on and taught like I had suggested to him. Now I want you to put you in your position with your significant other who has a business, being a content creator, how successful your significant other would be if you had the skill set of being a content creator, being able to talk to people in order, to promote his, her business, so on and so forth. Now, being a content creator, if he would have went on and took that path instead of being rigid and staying in the role that he was miserably comfortable in, if that would have transpired, I very much would have had a hand in helping him, because it was important for him to be successful. It was important for him to have purpose. It was important for him to be needed in a capacity in which he was knowledgeable in offering a service to a community who needs. So, that did not transpire for whatever crazy reason. But now here I am, a content creator, creating all kinds of content, cooking and promoting my art classes. But let's turn this back to you. Your significant other has a business, and the business is failing. Your person, your partner, husband, wife, whatever, and they are not skilled to do content creating. They're not skilled for marketing. They're not skilled in photography. They are not skilled in editing. They can barely put 2 and 2 together to get 4. So therefore, whomever their bookkeeper is, you need to have a hand on that so you know exactly where money's going, how it's coming in, what it's being dispersed to. Imagine you taking one of my business coaching classes to learn all of these things to help promote your significant other so they can become a success. Now, it's just not so much you're going to answer a phone. If that's what you want to do to help them, okay, great. But anybody can answer a phone. But not everybody can go live. Not everybody can market. Not everybody knows how to speak the lingo, because when you're enmeshed with somebody, you know that lingo like the back of your hand. Whether you wanted to know how that trade worked or not, it's ingrained in conversations you never wanted to have. So imagine having the lingo, you know the wording, you know how to speak, and you are promoting your significant other, person, partner, spouse, husband, wife, so on, so they can become a success in what their business is. Anybody can go to work for somebody else. Anybody can be showed how to do a job, how to do a 9 to 5, how to do a 8 to 4, how to do a 7 to 4:30. You become autopilot. You know the routine. You go in, you clock in, you get at your desk, you make a few phone calls, blah, 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 whatever the corporate world is. It is, what is the word I want to use? It is a bunch of people doing the gosh darn same thing in order to make somebody else money, and then y'all go home and you're tired, your mind's spent, because there's been no imagination, there's been no creativity, and there is nobody behind you helping you to become a success. Now, if you don't have a significant other and you have a business and you want to learn how to do all these things on your own to help you not only do your craft, but to become better at speaking and doing video and photography and allowing you to be able to go out and meet just about anybody in order to make a sale, in order to get a lead, in order to put a bid in, whatever it is that that business is. But then we go back to, you're just the other person involved with somebody who has a business that's failing, and your hands are tied because you don't know the skill. Those are things I teach in my business coaching class. Would love to have you. Right now it is a sale, $65. It is a private class. It's not a course. Take what you need, and if you take one, great. If you take 5, that's even better. Take what you need and leave the rest. You know, I really, really enjoy business coaching because we all think differently. Really, there is no wrong answer. It's just if you are not caught up with trends and how social media can work for you, it just becomes overwhelming and you become inundated with everybody else's nonsense because you have not learned how to have your own set of skills, being comfortable in your own skin, promoting. And that's really what content creating is. It is promoting a marketable entity that is a commodity to what a community, a city, a state needs. So if you're interested in that class, like I said, $65. Normally it's $95, but there is a sale going on and I want you to be in it. If you would like, you can just send me an email at kitrynmarie@gmail.com. Okay, now that I got that out of the way and I'm standing here, haven't cut anything up yet because I think I'm already overwhelmed with the amount of sauce that I'm going to be doing here. But before I get off of this thing and really pay attention to the things that I need to do before I just crash for the night, I wanted to ask, let's flip this a little bit to life coaching. When you have been given no choice, when there have not been decisions on both parts, when somebody has come at you with leaving you no other option, what are you doing? What is the outcome that you are hoping for with the choices that you've been given? There is always a benefit, there is always a consequence from a choice. And oftentimes, people, they do things in hastiness, they do things out of rashness, they do things very impetuously, and as these actions are being taken towards you, and you are left with no other choice but to go on, but to not react, but to act according to a line or a boundary that was been set, that there was no other way around it. I hope that made sense. You know, I was thinking about a few things today, and it's kind of like you want to have those conversations with those people, like, what were you thinking? By what you did, what was the result you were looking for? And do you understand, because you did A, B, C, D, what other choice did you leave that other person? You know, as you get to be older, that runner-chaser dynamic, it just stops. Why? You know, common sense says you do not run after anybody who has broken a boundary, who has broken trust, who has proved disloyalty, who has shown over and over betrayal. You don't chase, you just cut it off. So if you were thinking about your own life, who did what to you where you had no other choice but to go on and do what you needed to do in order to heal? And for any of my people out there, you know, I say I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I did study life coaching. You know, product of environment. Hurt people, people who are miserable with their own lives, who can't get caught up, you know, ahead, They compare their whole life to what everybody else has done and said. They have regret, they have shame, and there's a bunch of things along with it. But if you are abused, if you have been cheated on, if you have been betrayed in the worst way, and you were trying to heal, and you were trying to justify, and you were trying to figure out why somebody would do something to you, and they left you with no choice, you have the right. You have the right to express how you feel. You have the right to talk about what was done to you. It's not your calling anybody out. That person has already made that choice. That karma catches up to them no matter what. You can't sweep all that bad behavior under a rug. Eventually, the rug gets very high with all the stuff piled under it, and they start tripping up on their own life for the lies that they've told, trying to make themselves out to be the great person, when the person who has been horribly abused, horribly betrayed, where loyalty and disloyalty really a line was driven between. It's a matter of that person did something, it affected you, and you very much can talk about it in order to feel validated for who you were wanting to become. I learned all that in my life coaching classes, and although I use a lot of it in my business coaching and in my art classes, but you have that right. When you were trying to heal, you don't shove the emotion down your throat. You talk about it. You talk about what happened. You talk about the situation and what occurred. And whom you choose to tell that story to, they do not get to tell you, get over it. They don't get to tell you, that didn't happen. First of all, they weren't there. They don't know the emotion and how it devastated life. They don't know how it turned your life upside down. They don't understand because they never, thank God, had to go through all of that abuse that you went through. So in my life coaching class, when we're putting a vision board together, we talk about those healthy relationships. We talk about behavior and actions, and when somebody did something to you and left you with no choice, how did you grow from it? How did you become the better version of yourself once you realized it had absolutely nothing to do with you to begin with? It had more to do with who that person was and probably still is, because people do not change. They don't. Because people who want to change, they alter behavior. They step outside of themselves. They become very accountable for behavior. They become very responsible because, God Almighty, nobody goes out of their way to, on purpose, hurt someone without trying to get some big ego boost from their broken life that they have had all of their life, trying to get supply from whomever in order to make them feel better about the miserable things that they continue to do in their life. Those are things that we do talk about in my life coaching class, putting a vision board together. We talk about family. We talk about money. What is your money story? We talk about how you feel about money. We talk about your parents' money story. We talk about travel, we talk about vacations, we talk about your home, we talk about your career, we talk about what you wanted to do when you were a little kid versus what you did as a teenager into your young adulthood, into what you are doing now, and how far removed are you, or are you literally stuck from a consequence of your choice because somebody did not leave you an option and you didn't know how to grow outside of the set of circumstances that occurred in your life. But that is enough for right now. I got all of these tomatoes and eggplants that I gotta cook up. I'm gonna be in my kitchen all night long. So, whatever it is you have going on in your life, think if your significant other had a business, what kind of a commodity could you be to him or her in order to help them become a success? So it's just not him doing his trade or his craft, but you have hands-on helping him to help each other progress and grow and evolve and, of course, become very financially successful in the business that you were both trying to put together. And if you are interested in learning more, about life coaching, product of environment, circumstances and what you were made to believe, which no longer applies to your life, I'd love to have you in the class. It's $65 also. But I am Kitryn Marie, an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach, reside in St. Louis, Missouri, teach a variety of art classes, personal development classes. For today, for tomorrow, be happy, be blessed, be thankful for everything. Fate turns on a dime, and it is up to you to decide what side of the coin you want to be on. Take care. I'll try to get some pictures up later on. And the only reason I'm doing this video today is because we were slow at the gig. Went and got my nails done, Carolina blue with some stars. And ran around a little bit. And I'm going to do this and get this all done and finish up this video, do a little bit of editing. And then I'll probably call it a night and go sit my happy body in my chair. But y'all take care. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, all the good things that algorithms want to see in this crazy world that we live in. But take care, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.